There is a story. It is a story of a woman and her child. One day after church, this woman and her child went home where she prepared a meal for the two of them, and after they had shared in the meal, they sat on their couch and were relaxing for that Sunday afternoon when there was a knock on the door. And when she went to the door, it was friends from church who said that they had come to visit, and so she invited them in and took them out to the deck where they sat and shared in many stories. They discussed the sermon of the day. They talked about what was happening in the church, in their community, in the country. They talked about many things, and in the midst of the conversation, the mother realized that she had lost sight of her child. And so she had this look of worry about her and began to think, where could my child possibly be? And as she was thinking and trying to figure out where the child had gone, she heard voices in the yard, and she thought, surely my child is amongst the children in the yard. But she did not have the certainty until she heard the very distinctive sound of her child's voice as it rose up in cries. The child was in tears, screaming and crying, and the mother was relieved to the bewilderment of her guests. They were wondering, why will this mother be relieved? Why would she rejoice? Why would she be happy at this very particular time? Was it not her child who was raising their voice and cry? But you see, when the mother heard the child cry, she said a prayer in her heart and said, Lord, I thank you, because the fact that I can hear my child cry means that my baby is still alive. She gave thanks to God in all circumstances. As you can tell from this story, this mother has lived out the words of the Apostle Paul as we have them in the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18. And if you begin from verse 16, it says, rejoice always, pray without ceasing. In all circumstances, give thanks, for this is the will of God in Jesus Christ for you. This does not negate the pain that we go through. This does not negate the loss. This does not negate everything that is hard that we go through in our lives. But it does mean that we can make an attitude adjustment. It does mean that we can choose to focus on the positive, that we can choose to rejoice, because God wants us happy. God wants us joyful. God calls us to rejoice. God knows that we have pain, and still God calls us to rejoice. So come on, let us get on the way.